All right, my brother, in this video, we're going to talk about why saying no in your relationship is actually probably the thing that's going to save it. In fact, most guys are too afraid to say no in their relationship. They're too afraid of hurting their partner. They're too afraid of making them upset. And so what they end up doing is they just push themselves away. They push all their needs, wants, and desires to the back burner, thinking that they're being magnanimous, that they're being the martyr here, and that they can give their wife whatever that she wants. And by doing so, she'll love him forever. The problem is that it's at his own expense. And because at his own expense, what she ends up seeing is that he doesn't really respect himself. He doesn't really stand up for himself. And so what he'll end up seeing is he'll come into one of two camps. One camp of women will see that as he's just a weak guy he's just a people pleaser, and she'll just lose attraction for him. The other camp will see this as a target. She'll see him as a target, and her entitled attitude will keep pulling on him more and more and more until he's a shell of himself and there's nothing left, while she dangles this carrot of, hey, let's have an amazing relationship, but we can't get this amazing relationship because it's on the other side of all the actions you're not taking. And so him not being able to say no lends to this game of people pleasing. And with the wrong type of woman, this will be taken advantage of massively. And so in this video, we're going to talk about how saying no is proper in your relationship, how to actually say no without turning it into a knockout fight, and actually how to do it in such a way that you can be magnanimous and not feel guilty, and you can do it without having a conflict. So let's get started. My name is Baxter, and I help guys in betrayal situations. I've coached thousands of men. Tens of thousands of men have come through my doors in one form or another. I've had over 3,000 guys come through the Betrayed to Badass program. And that's what we do. We'll get you to that place where you make the right decision for you and your children. You can't have a conversation about no unless you have a conversation about boundaries. Most men don't have boundaries because, well, they don't ever really get told that they're worth something. Most men don't. And so my wife and I were having this discussion yesterday in the kitchen where we were talking about how men don't, and she was the one who brought this up, how she was saying that, women get a lot of support. They get a lot of, if a woman needs somebody to hold them or to tell them things are doing better, like another woman will do this for her all the time. And she'll hold her as long as she needs to, help her cry it out, help her have her emotional experience so that she can move on with her day. But for men, this just does not exist. And so as a man, I know this, like I live this myself. And so at Genuine Attraction, with my counsel and with my groups in the tribe here, we endeavor to be open with each other, to allow each other to emote. So in the tribe of Genuine Attraction, we demonstrate to each other that they're wanted, that they're needed, that these guys actually fucking matter to each other. And this is usually the only place these guys ever get this in their life. So men rarely get compliments. They rarely get appreciation. And so what ends up happening is the only person who ever gives them compliments or appreciation ends up being their significant other. And so when the relationship goes south, he loses even that. And so he's brought up to think, and he's been living this way his whole life, that men just aren't deserving of compliments. Men aren't deserving of appreciation. And men just don't matter outside of what they can produce. Like, what kind of money can you make? How can you serve somebody? Your only value is what kind of service you can give to somebody else. So most men, when they're in a relationship with a woman, this is what he's bringing to the table. He's bringing, I don't really matter outside of what I can provide this woman. And so it turns into this game of performance-based love, where I have to now perform more and more and more to get her love and affection. And so when the relationship starts to go south, or she says that he's not listening to her or something else, he tries more. He endeavors to be more. And this comes at his own personal cost. So he ends up losing himself, and oftentimes because he didn't even really have himself to begin with. And so this conversation of boundaries doesn't even open up. Because what's he going to do? Tell her no? Well, she wants stuff from him, and the only way for him to get love and affection is to give it to her. And so guys don't ever really think about boundaries, like what's acceptable, what's not acceptable behavior in a relationship. It's always, what can I do to get her to love me more? What can I do to get her to be nice to me? What can I do to get her to have sex with me? And so it becomes this transactional arrangement. And guys are always asking the wrong question. The question isn't, what can I do to make this woman love me? It's, what kind of person do I need to embody so that love comes to me naturally? And so this game of boundaries doesn't ever come up for most men. They'll come into the program, they've been cheated on or dealing with narcissistic abuse, which is what we mostly get. And he says, well, I never had boundaries in my relationship. And I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, it just never occurred to me. And I'm like, of course it didn't. You were never taught to have boundaries. You never taught that you just matter just because you are a human being and that you exist. Under God, you fucking matter. But the thing is that he must decide that he matters. And once he decides that he matters, now he's like, you know what? I matter and I am worthy of love and affection in my life, regardless of what I give and regardless of how I serve people. And this opens up the entire conversation of, hey, because I matter, I can now say no to things. I now have some sort of self-love. I can say no to things. So now boundaries start to come out. And so guys are always saying, well, Ed, what kind of boundaries do I need to have? And I was like, well, I could tell you some universal boundaries, like, your woman should be nice to you. She shouldn't belittle you, manipulate you, call you names and whatnot. But at the same time, boundaries come based off of what you want for yourself. If you know what you want for yourself and you get really clear on what you want and somebody does something against what you want, you've already now made the line in the sand. You can say, okay, well, this is what I want. And most guys, if they say, okay, what do you want? And oftentimes they come into the Broken to Badass program, they don't even know what they want. I'm like, so what do you want? Like, what do you like to do in your life? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? I've just never thought of it. It's always been what my wife and my kids needs. It's always what my boss needs. I'm like, okay, do you have any goals in your life? Like, yeah, I would like to make a bunch of money so I can retire and live with my wife. Because he's lost himself in the game of giving, of just sacrificing himself all this time. And he uses this. He's like, I'm a nice person. I give to a lot of people, and it gives me a lot of pleasure to give to people. And then on the other side of this is getting taken advantage of. And then he doesn't know to tell this person no, that, hey, this is taken advantage of, or hey, you've crossed the line with this, you've invaded my privacy, you talk badly about me to other people, or whatever bad behavior is happening in the relationship. And so what he'll do is he can't really say no. And so because he can't say no, his relationship completely falls apart. And he doesn't say no because he doesn't really value himself to know that he can say no. And because he doesn't value himself enough, he doesn't realize that he can have other women in his life and he doesn't need this one. And so it's this weird game where it's this weird cycle where you keep going down, further south, and you keep repeating these cycles in your relationship. Whereas on the flip side, if you're able to demonstrate to yourself that you matter, then you'd be able to tell her no, you'd be able to be willing to walk away, and then she might actually be going in the direction that you want her to go. She might actually follow your lead. She might actually respect you more. She might actually be more attracted to you. Because make no mistake, as soon as she loses respect for you and she can find that she can manipulate you, she then feels like she's stronger than you on some level. And because she feels stronger than you, she now loses some sort of respect and strength from you, and then her attraction goes down. And then she wonders why she's just not interested in sex anymore. Now, this happens to a lot of women. They'll get like into a marriage, they'll have a couple of kids, and they say, well, I could go years without sex. It's just not part of the menu. It's just not on my plate. I never think about it, and it's just not something that's there. All the while it's lying dormant within her, just ready to go. But because her husband has demonstrated this kind of weakness for years, she just doesn't have access to it. She thinks something's wrong with her sexuality. She thinks that she's broken. All the while her husband's over there jacking off to pornography, and she's like, well, what's going on here? There's a huge disconnect. And so he's like, well, you never want it. And she's like, what am I, just a tool for you? Is that all you want? You just want this act? He's like, no, I want the love and connection that goes with it. Men have connection through sex, whereas women need the connection for sex. And so this is where this place of the disconnect of the family happens, and then some guy will come along, or she'll have a conversation with a guy, usually a coworker, or maybe an ex-boyfriend. And in the beginning, maybe it'll just be innocuous, but then what happens is now it starts to ignite something within her, and that dormancy comes raging back, and all because he wasn't willing to say no in the beginning. And so by being able to say no, you can prevent a lot of this stuff from happening. Either you can turn your relationship around, and then she'll get into this place where she respects you more, or you prevent a woman that you should have never been with to begin with. And so that's the first part, is just being able to say no in your relationship. Be willing to walk away if it isn't adhered to for things that really, truly matter to you. And the second thing is that if you can say no to your woman, then she can trust you more. In other words, she knows that you're just not going to roll over whenever she has an emotional fit, or if she's upset or whatever. She's like, this is a man who stands in principles, and I can trust him to stand in his principles over the relationships in his life. Make no mistake, if you're in a relationship where she's trying to push all your principles all over the place, and then you roll over on them, you really don't stand for anything. And so from her perspective, she's like, well, he's kind of a weak guy. He doesn't really stand for anything. He doesn't really make a statement and stick by it. He doesn't plant his flag and fight for what he believes in. He just goes after whatever I want. He'll just roll over as soon as I say something, give him a sideways glance. He'll just roll over. Or I can promise him sex, and he'll just come running at me like a dog with his tail wagging. Not even really looking at like, why is she asking for this sex? Is she trying to get something from me? Does she want something? Is there something on the other side of this that she's trying to get? He doesn't even care because he's just such a slave to it, because he doesn't get that attention. He doesn't get that validation. He doesn't get that appreciation. And so when you can say no, then what ends up happening is in your relationship with your woman, if you can tell her no for things that matter to you, and you can plant your flag, then it prevents resentment from happening. Why? Because with codependency, resentment starts to build. And then with resentment starts contempt. And so this is how this dynamic works. If I said yes to something I really wanted to say no to, now I have to go do some shit I don't want to do. And I'm like, I don't really want to do it. And then if I try to say no, and then she knocks me down about it and then guilts me and shames me about it, now I'm doing the thing I don't want to do. Now I feel bad about myself for even having an opinion or even having a desire for something the other way. So now I'm already beating myself up, and this game of shame starts to creep into myself. And so not only am I resenting her for not being able to do it, now I'm feeling shameful about myself. Now I resent her even further. And now because I can't say no to her, I'm resenting and resenting and resenting. And she feels this tension too. But I'm too afraid of the conflict to really lean into it, to really stand up for myself, so it just festers. And then she sees this festering within me, and she sees me getting upset, but I have no power or strength to really say no. And then what ends up happening is this keeps happening over and over and over again. She stops even really paying attention. She's like, who gives a shit? This guy is not strong, so why should I worry about it? He's doing it to himself, so fuck him. And then you, as the guy who can't say no, one day you'll just blow up. You'll just blow up, and this will come out of nowhere. Or maybe she doesn't even know that it's an issue for you, but you just are so conflict averse that you can't say no to anything. And so like you have this desire for something to be different, and you're not telling her, and then you blow up, like, I've done all this for you, and you can't even give me sex. Now you're just taking advantage of me because of my paycheck. You're just here for the money. And then she's like, holy shit, I didn't see this coming. And it blows up, and it turns into this fight. Now she plays this game of, I don't trust you anymore. He's like, what do you mean you don't trust me? She's like, yeah, I don't know where you're going to blow up. I don't know where all these resentments are coming from. You haven't ever spoke up. So now we're here in this place. And by not saying no, by keeping your peace, you're really causing more conflict down the road. And if you're able to say no, it leads to a foundation of emotional strength. In other words, you saying no means you're going to go into a collision on some level. It might be a minor thing, like, hey, do you want this sandwich? Like, no, I'm not, I've already eaten. Or it might be like, hey, I've already bought tickets to Disney World. Like, yeah, we ain't going to Disney World. We can't afford it. I can't believe you tried to buy these tickets. What are we doing? And so she's like, oh, and then you have this massive collision over vacation because communication wasn't happening, or she just thought that she could just do whatever, and there wasn't a clear line or a clear boundary on how money should be discussed or how money should be spent. And so now you're in this place where you're going to have this collision. So you, by you saying no, teaches and trains you how to go into collision. And when you go into collision over and over and over again, you get better at it. It's like a muscle. You have to grow it. And then once you've been in the collision many, many times, and you've learned how to navigate it, now it stops becoming this game where you're mad at each other. It's this game where you're upset and you've got to come to a solution. You still love her, but you're upset, we got to do this. And the same thing for her. Whereas if you're in a manipulative relationship, you're not allowed to be angry. You're not allowed to say no. If you get angry, that's considered abusive by the manipulator. You're being abusive. No, I can't be angry. No, it's abusive. And so I'm scared. And it's like, well, I can't be angry, or you just get scared. And so now this whole game is dancing around your emotions, walking on eggshells. Her fake crying and calling you manipulative and gaslighting you. And you fall into all that chaos. You keep tussling with her like this. You're not saying no to the chaos. You're saying yes to it. And why does she do it? Because it works. Because you can't stand up for yourself. You're afraid to lose her. You just let her do whatever she wants. When you can't say no and you avoid it, you undermine your relationship even worse than the collision that you would have if you had said no. In fact, if you say no about something that's valid and your partner just loses their absolute mind and they try to get you to capitulate through emotional savagery, then what ends up happening is that you just undermine your relationship. Now you have created this dynamic where this is good, where this is tolerated. And what you tolerate, you encourage. You can be sure that this is going to happen more often in the future. And when these type of dynamics happen, your relationship is doomed. It's just a matter of when. And most guys don't realize this, that if you pick a woman who can manipulate you and you stay with her, you've doomed the relationship. If you do not allow manipulation in your relationship at all, then you have a chance to actually make it with her. But if she keeps pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, then you probably picked the wrong person, because she just wants somebody who, that's all she wants, is power and control. She doesn't really want a relationship with you. And so you have to be able to say no. You have to be able to say no in your relationship. You have to stand up for what you want. And if it doesn't work out with this person, if the incompatibility is there, it can't be helped. Like, it just can't be helped. And sitting here taking it personally, well, we just didn't work out, I fucked it up, and just beating up on yourself, when you realize it's just an incompatibility issue. And there's nothing personal about that. It's completely objective. Because if you go into this situation where you can't say no to this person, they keep hounding you and hounding you and hounding you, it's doomed to fail anyway. So why go through that slow, painful death? Why not just cut it now and move forward and find somebody who actually matches you well? And you're like, well, we have kids together. Cool, you have kids together. That still doesn't change the fact. It just makes it a little more messy in the end, but it's still going to go to the same place. In fact, it'll go there even faster and it'll be even messier. So you might as well just do it now. If you want to learn how to set boundaries, if you want to actually step into your power and actually have a soulmate in your life, you want to create soulmates with your woman, and make no mistake, soulmates are created, they are not found. And you can have soulmates with many different women that are highly compatible with you. And if you want to learn how to find these women that are highly compatible, you want to learn how to be a soulmate seducer, how to be a soul seducer. You want to turn your marriage into this place where she's belittling you and manipulating you. You want to turn this around and turn that dynamic around where she follows you and wants to be a part of you, devoted to you, desires you, and appreciates you intensely. Check out the link in the description, join Soul Seducer. We will get this turned around in a matter of weeks. We've done this with thousands of guys. At this point, it's not even an issue of like, does the program work? We know it works. It works every time, and we iterate it, and we make it better and better every year. So brother, if you want to get part of that, you want to turn this shit around, maybe you've been cheated on, maybe you're looking at your wife and she says, I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. And she's gotten really distant and cold. She's acting like a weirdo. You're like, I don't even know who this person is. And you have to try to figure out how to navigate that situation in the house. Like, how do we navigate the kids? She wants a separation. How much space do I give her? She wants space. Trying to talk to her, trying to take her to counseling. It's just making things worse. Yeah, brother, you got to get into Soul Seduce. We'll turn this around in a matter of days. Hit like if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified of the ones in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.